Coming up on Hold All Tickets, it is the runner-by-runner preview for the Melbourne Cup. Lamby, how are we feeling this year?
Feeling good. I think the big local stables will come to the fore without giving too much away.
Guesty, Willie Mullins returns.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, last year he said he learned a few lessons, and this year, well, who knows?
He is an absolute master trainer. All 24 runners previewed, and of course, best bets at Flemington and Randwick coming your way right now on Hold All Tickets. Hello and welcome to Hold All Tickets for the Melbourne Cup runner-by-runner preview brought to you by BoomBet. I'm your host, Alex Donnelly, and joined on this inauspicious occasion, James Lamb, sans jacket.
Yes, I don't have a jacket. I was going to bring one, and then homie told me I didn't need it. So here I am, jacketless.
And they're looking as good as always. Mark Guest, ready to go and rip into another Melbourne Cup. Guesty?
How are you? How are you, James? Yes,
Very
looking
well.
forward to it. Well, it's the Melbourne Cup, and it's the race which I love, the most important race of the year, in my opinion. I know other races are starting to move up the ladder a little bit, but still, it's the Melbourne Cup, and most people know the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, it is. It is our great race. It is the race that stops the nation. Now that the field's out, I am starting to get excited. Before we get into it, we are brought to you by BoomBet. Great fixed odds, more value, and more boom moments. Sign up today and get in on the boom. Now, as said, runner by runner. It's pretty simple. We'll go horses 1 through 24, run through all of them, and give our top 4 at the end of it. But we'll also get best bets from the day from Lamby for Flemington. We'll get a tip from Guesty. I'll give you my best bet at Randwick. It is Big Dance Day there too. And also James Molony, the guru. He'll drop in and give us a tip. But without further ado, we may need to rip into this Melbourne Cup. 24 horses. And I was having a quick look, gents, at lead-ups and what's the logical lead-up. And I went back about 15 years. And the common thread is you can come from anywhere, because you can come from the Caulfield Cup, the Cox Plate. You can run in all of them like Gold Trip did. The Great Voltager, Irish St. Ledger, there's the Bart Cummings Geelong Cup, and Moonee Valley Cup. So as long as you haven't run in Sydney at your last start, you can win.
Yeah, I mean, there has been a bit more of a trend in recent times, which I'll touch on because that's what I'm sort of basing my tip on.
Yep.
But yeah, you are right. You can win it first up. You can win it sixth up. That's the beauty of the Cup.
I suppose when you go back through a greatest trainer, what Bart Cummings used to do, we had the McKinnon and also the Hotham Handicap, which changed many names over the years. But that was his traditional. Most of his winners come through that they ran 3 days before the Cup. Yep. His grandson did the same thing, but the difference is 1600. Yeah. And I don't think any horse in history, I mean, I'm not 120, I'm not far off from me, but I don't think any horse has done that. I went back through it, and I spoke to Nick Egan, a great stats man. He knows everything. He said there's no horse that he can see that's
done the mile
into the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah. So Farlap would have run over the 2,000 on the Saturday into the Cup, because he went on all 4 days, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, interesting. So we'll go through some quick barrier stats as well. Basically, if you're in barrier 18, you can't win because no runner has ever won from barrier 18. So sorry, land legend and Zach Burton, you may not even need to come from Hong Kong, mate. Bit rough there, but barrier 5 holds the record for the most winners. Cross counter was the last one there. Barrier 11, 6 and 10 are also very good barriers. And of note, 4 female jockeys riding this year, which makes it the equal highest ever, which is great to see as well. And I think there's 6 female trainers as well, which is just absolutely phenomenal.
Well, there you go.
A little bit of stat there.
It's great. Last year was three was the record, and now they've. I think in time, we're going to see it'll gradually increase. You're probably going to get half the field that will be ridden by female jockeys.
Especially if the weights stay this low as well.
Well, I think that's another thing we've got to look at. I think after this carnival, the industry will be looking at the weight situation, and because really it's a handicap. Yeah. We want bottom 50, top 6, and I'm not putting a jockey hat on now. I'm jockey manager hat on. I'm saying 60 or 60. Yeah. I think 60, 50, and then you'll get a true weight discrepancy. Yeah. Where at the moment it's a bit like a set weights penalties type race, and it's been like that for a few years. So I think we need to start getting back to a real handicap.
Well, quickly do need to touch on it. You are James McDonald's manager. How hard was it to even get a look in this year, given we didn't have a logical top weight? Without a Fight was never running, and let's be honest, V Sistina was never running either. Was it always going to be hard for James to get a ride this year?
Absolutely. I mean, there wasn't many horses above, say, Jones would have got down to 54.5, and there was only a handful of horses that could go that had that weight. So it made it extremely difficult. So we were banking on Via Sistina, or Buckaroo was in the mix, but Joe Moreira had been riding it. So, and he'd been a little bit unlucky the last time. He was a little bit unlucky in the Caulfield Cup, but look, you give guys a chance. He's ridden it a couple of times, and and it's raced well.
Yeah.
So, Joe's on that. And there wasn't many other options that really we had. So it was, from that point of view, it was James was very, very disappointed because you sort of base your carnival around the Melbourne Cup. Or the Cup Carnival, around that race.
He hasn't had much luck since very early because he had Loft a couple of years ago that went a miss, and then he picked up.
No, that was the year he won the Melbourne Cup.
That was the year he won it.
Loft went a miss.
Oh, okay, and then
I've got a big framed picture of Loft on my wall.
And then he got on Gold Trip late last year as well, and then this year misses out due to the weight. So it's someone like James, let's be honest, best jockey in Australia, can't get it right. It's not great.
There's a lot of other things that go on during which no one gets to know that behind the scenes there's a lot of 1 minute you're on this, next minute you're not on this, and which yet no one ever tells that story, and it's quite, when you hear about it, you think, gee, I didn't realise that. There's so many horses in history you would have in the Melbourne Cup that if you start speaking to a lot of older jockeys that have retired, you ask them questions like, could you have ridden that one? And Brent Thompson tells some stories about he could have ridden this one and it won the Cup. And there's been a few other little stories that the jockeys have gone the wrong way. Roy Higgins, he went the wrong way a couple of times. So there's so many different stories behind the scenes, but we never ever tell. Everyone only remembers the winners, don't they? Like who won the Cup. So
that feels like a good podcast in the future. We do need to rip into this, okay? So with our sponsors, BoomBet, they've sent us through some details today. Their biggest future liability on the race is Vauban, pretty much the same as last year. But they've heard the talk around him heading into the race. They think he's better prepared than last year, and they think he's going to start favourite. There's been a huge go for Zardozi since the barrier draw. It's by far their biggest liability, 10 times the next biggest, which is Vauban. Punters are very keen on the quick backup. One smooth operator has been on the drift for the last week since he had that bulb cut, which, as talking to a trainer yesterday, aka my dad, he's like, it's like having a shaving nick. It's nothing. And there's been some smaller interest in Akita Sushi off the back of the Moonee Valley Cup, and they expect it to be strong in the finish. Now, their Boom Odds special. They're offering a Boom Odds market, so head to BoomBet for this. $8 for Buckaroo to finish first or second. Obviously, terms and conditions apply there, but go check out BoomBet. All right, speed map. This looks like a race I could lead.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of speed engaged, at least on paper. Just Fine looks the obvious leader.
Yep.
It's a pretty one-dimensional horse. And then I've got Fancy Man and Positivity coming across from wider gates. The horse you mentioned before, Zardozi, maps for a lovely run, provided it jumps with them.
Yeah.
It probably ends up in the first 5 or 6 on the fence. Absurd is another one who maps well from a good gate. Got Sea King. It could end up behind the leader, or it could be 3 or 4 back. It's a hard one with him from barrier 1. Those who haven't drawn well, Valiant King, I'm not sure whether they go forward or back. Froggy might chance his arm from out there and go forward. Land Legend, barrier 18. Don't know where he ends up.
Especially if he doesn't settle.
He might be 3 wide in the early stages. And Buckaroo, you'd think the only real choice there is to drift back and try to get a bit of cover. I can't see Moreira going forward on him. But as you mentioned, not a heap of speed.
Yeah. Guesty?
Yeah, I thought Fancy Man, I think, will be up there as well. And Akita Sushi, I think they've got to go forward and be right up there. I mean,
it gets a great run.
Yeah.
We went a long way back last year, but that was from barrier 20 or something. So
and he wasn't going well.
Yeah.
Do we get caught up in barriers, though? Like, I mean, I admit, we like to form our opinions around barriers most of the time, but you've got that long run from the cup start to the first turn. There's horses that are going to be 5 or 6, probably five or so wide, going down the straight, and then they slot in, and eventually they become 3 wide.
They do generally string out, don't they, in the Melbourne Cup in the early stages. So I'm just hoping a horse like Buckaroo.
You'd still rather draw like 6 to 12 rather than 18 to 24.
Yeah. 2 of the last 10 have drawn inside 10. The rest have all drawn outside 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
So the only 2 was Rekindling drew barrier 4, and Prince of Penzance drew barrier 1. The rest have all drawn outside 12. So that gives people hope that we can we'll get. It doesn't matter whether they've drawn out. So I used to be so critical about the barriers in the Melbourne Cup, but I'm not so anymore, because I think the best jockeys can work it out.
Find a way.
Yeah, I mean,
the best jockeys always seem to do that.
Yeah, Joe hasn't drawn the best gate, but I mean, look, he's a world-class jockey.
Yeah. All right, runner by runner, odds brought to you by BoomBet. Odds as of 11 a.m. on Sunday morning, the 3rd of November. Number 1, Vauban. William Buick coming out to take the ride. He's been riding at the Breeders' Cup over the last couple of days. Gave one an absolutely sweet ride to win the 2400-metre race, and then slaughtered one a race later in William Buick fashion. He was the favourite last year, Vauban, and let's be honest, he flopped. They said he was going to come here, collect the cup, and I don't think he's finished yet. He comes in with better form and only goes up half a kilo.
Yeah, I mean, he's beaten 13.4 lengths. $5.50 was last year. It was sort of one-way traffic towards the end there with Vauban. As you mentioned, goes up half a kilo. Once again, first up in Australia, though, which worries me a little bit given what he did last.
He's had the run later because last year his last run was in the middle of August. This year he's running the Irish St. Ledger behind Kyprios, and they haven't come to Flemington to give the barn burner of a gallop either.
Yeah, okay. Obviously that Kyprios form is red hot for a race like this. That's world-class form. So it's just whether if he brings that form out, he's the horse to beat. I've just got a little bit of a query on what he did last year.
Yeah, I think the Kyprios form is what, he's rated one of the best horses in the world, best stayers in the world. Well, he's the best stayer in the world.
Yeah.
On ratings. And what we've seen what he's done over there. I mean, and he's came here last year with the big rap on him. I mean, I selected him last year. I thought he'd win the race. That way that race was run, though, they went hard, and he was a lot closer than what he probably, as it turned out, it would have been better going back a bit further without a fight in that sort of part of the race. But he was up there with Absurd, so a lot closer than what I expected. The other thing is, too, Willie Mullins, he's an astute trainer, and he said, this year I'm not clipping the horses because he said Vauban got very
He melted
hot.
in the yard.
Yeah, that's right. So he said I'm not clipping them, and so whereas he did last year, and so he's just doing things differently than what he did. He didn't go to Flemington for that gallop, so he's trying a few different things, and I don't think he'll be as close in the run as what he was last year and get back a little bit.
Just watch the yard for him because if he melts, he probably can't win the race. But he's currently $6.50.
25 degrees on the day, and there's the other thing too, which is a big factor, which is any race meeting, is the wind. There's no light winds.
Yeah.
May get up to say 20 kilometres an hour, which is a southeasterly.
Yeah.
So it's not. It won't affect racing as such. It'll just be pattern.
And it was 32 degrees last year. It was disgustingly hot.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's not that bad on Tuesday. Number 2, Buckaroo, Chris Waller, Joe Moreira. Currently your favourite, $5. Draws 21, but he's clearly the best of the locals given his form. He just got beaten in a Turnbull Stakes by Via Sistina. He was great in the Caulfield Cup, arguably should have won that, and he smashed him in the Underwood. Just the logical weight for age form, isn't it?
It is indeed. It was the run of the race in the Caulfield Cup. Bit of jostling early, saw him settle in a pretty hopeless position, but he was incredible over the last sort of 600 metres. He was the only horse to break 25 seconds for the final 400, and he went 3 lengths quicker than anything else over the final furlong. In modern times, the Caulfield Cup is clearly the best form reference for this race. I'll just quickly go through it. Vow and Declare ran second in the Caulfield Cup 2019, won the Melbourne Cup. Very Elegant won the Caulfield Cup 2020, skipped the Melbourne Cup that year, but then came back and won it the following year. Incentivise ran second that year after winning the Caulfield Cup. Gold Trip, second in the Caulfield Cup 2022, won the Melbourne Cup that year. And, of course, Without a Fight, won it last year and did the double. So I'm happy to trust the Caulfield Cup form. I know there's queries on him running at 3,200, but there's been queries on a few other horses over the last 10 years or so, and class does seem to prevail a little bit in this race more than it used to. I'm just barrier 20. It's a sticky draw. It's going to take a good ride and a little bit of luck tempo-wise, but I think he's going to take a fair bit of beating. Yep.
If you believe what you see, he has to be in your top 4 because that Caulfield Cup run, because there were doubts, even running the Caulfield Cup distance, people were saying, he sort of, Via Sistina was going away from him in that Turnbull, admittedly on a soft track. The last 2 runs have been on a soft track, but we saw what he did in the Underwood on a firm track, Buckaroo. So I think the firmer track plays in his hands a bit better than what it was last 2 starts, and he still ran super. The way he ran through the Caulfield, ran through the line, he should have finished a lot closer to Duke de Sessa. If he was a lot closer, at some point, he just got back just a bit too far. Yep. So I think he'll run it. I mean, they normally do as long as they settle, like Bart Cummings always said, if they settle, I mean, that's half the battle. And that Caulfield Cup form, you just have to put it every single time. Yeah, I mean, I would have been against it because of the gate a little bit, but as I said to you earlier, I mean, I just think now I don't worry about it so much.
We're getting a better price now. He's gone from $5.50 out to $7, I think, since the barrier draw.
Yeah, he's currently $5 favourite, very tight with Boombet. And people are like, he's by Fastnet Rock. Yeah, that's okay. He's got Galileo blood through him on the damn side. He's out of a Galileo mare. I think he'll run the trip.
He'd love to win it too, Moreira, because he remember Heartbreak City. It was heartbreaking.
I'm still getting over that one.
Elmander,
And then last year was Solcombe. If he jumps, he probably wins. Number 3, Circle of Fire. Kieran Maher, one of the first of Kieran Maher runners. Mark Zara going for 3 Melbourne Cups in a row on 3 different horses. Trying to do the J-Mac with the 3 different horses in the Cox Plate. Barrier 24
is 3 different trainers as well.
Oh, that too. Look at that. Barrier 24, 54.5 kilos. He won the Sydney Cup last prep. Off his form this time in, I can't have him. I can't be diving into horses who've been beaten 14 lengths at the lead up.
Yeah, very good in the Sydney Cup, obviously, but as you mentioned, his form has dropped off a fair bit since then. I think the biggest thing in his favour is Zara, but I couldn't have him on what he's shown of late. He needs to find 12 lengths on Buckaroo.
Yeah.
Maher's very good. I don't know if he's that good.
And I know I said barriers don't matter, but he has drawn them. He'll have to. I don't know what he does there. What does he? Does he just midfield? Just hope to sort of.
And hopes he can pinch runs. Maybe I don't know.
We sat 3 deep the trip in the Sydney Cup.
You made a good point, Alex. You said I can't have him off that run. Not many. How many? There's not many that turn the form around their previous start into a Melbourne Cup.
There's been a lot of horses that you look at that have failed, and then you're like, I can turn around. Like, we'll have a look at some of the Cox Plate horses later. Take Via Sistina out of it because she won like winks. That I can agree with. Being beaten 14 lengths in a Caulfield Cup, it's hard to do, especially wherever you've come from. Like, a last start failure is never a good lead up for a grand final.
It's rare they do well. Yeah.
Number 4 is Warp Speed, similar, off a failure last start. The only positive he has in his favour is he's going to get on firm going. He'll stay the trip all day. From Barrier 3, he gets a better run than the Caulfield Cup where he drew 16 of 18. He got beaten 16.5 lengths, but he'll run the trip. His form around T.O. Royale in your Tenno shows and your Diamond Stakes is more than good enough for this, but again, he failed last start.
Yeah, the only real excuse you could probably offer in the Caulfield Cup is that he did go a long way back in a race where a lot of the field just held their positions. There weren't that many horses that actually made a run from the back outside of Buckaroo. So I guess you could forgive that. His form from 2,800 to 3,600 is far superior to anything he's done over 2,400. So there is improvement there, but he needs to improve a lot. And as you mentioned, firmer track is a tick, but I couldn't have him in my top 5 or 10.
And I have him drifting back too. I don't have him right up on the in the first half of the field. Yep. The firmer track will play into his hands a little bit more than what it did in the Caulfield Cup. So, but it's off an average run, so I'd rather go against him.
Yep. Number 5 is Kovalika for Chris Waller, Damien Lane. Now, there was talk he was going to have blinkers. He doesn't have them on Tuesday. Barrier 17, this would be the ultimate troll job from Chris Waller if Kovalika was to win a Melbourne Cup. His form this prep has been phenomenal. Good in the tramway, great in the Epsom, very good in the Hill Stakes. And take out Via Sistina, he was 3.5 lengths behind prognosis.
Yeah, it was a good run in the Cox Plate. 3rd fastest final furlong behind Via Sistina and Broadsiding. Phenomenal is a strong word to describe his form, but he has been solid. Hasn't won a race since his 3-year-old season, which is a concern. But in saying that, he has raced in predominantly Group 1 and Group 2 races ever since.
In races that haven't been suitable either.
Well, this is the first time we're going to see him beyond 2,400, which is,
he won the Derby last year.
Somewhat surprising given how good he has been at 2,400.
It's the first time beyond 2,400 since that race. Like, I know he ran in the Q22 in June, but he hasn't been beyond 2,400 since he won the Derby.
Yeah, I know. So there's a bit of guessing there. He might get to 3,200 and just explode, or he might not handle it all. But I guess you got to trust Chris Waller there. But I couldn't have him. He's never been one of mine. Kovalika.
He actually ran, when you look at all the Cox Plates, he actually ran good time.
Yeah.
If you look, he'll be up there. It was one of the good, even though he ran, was it 6th or something in the Cox Plate? Yeah. I think the distance is my little bit of a concern. But, coming through that Cox Plate, it's we get a few winners out of that race.
Number 6 is Sharp and Smart for the Rogersons. Mick D from Barrier 15, currently $51. He will stay all day. He was off the bit and chasing at the 1,200 metre mark in the Moonee Valley Cup, and he just kept coming and coming and coming to be beaten 2.5 lengths there. For mine, you've just got to throw him in 3rd or 4th in your multiples because he will stay the trip.
Yeah, potentially one for first fours. He was stepping up 500 metres last time, and as you mentioned, was really strong through the line. Further distance suits. He hasn't really kicked on since his 3-year-old season. He was one of the high-class 3-year-olds as a 3-year-old stayer, and he's sort of lacked consistency since then. And I think Okita Sushi was a fair bit better than him in the Moonee Valley Gold Cup. So, maybe fourth, but not in the top 3 for me.
Yeah, I think he ran honestly. Won the Derby, New Zealand Derby last year, but we were expecting a lot bigger things. So I'd rather... I think he's got a chance to run the first 12.
Yeah. Number 7, Just Fine, winner of the Bart Cummings, currently $34. He'll be leading at the 600. I can tell you about that much. Off his run in the Moonee Valley Cup, though, he can't win. He led and he stopped.
Yeah, he's rock hard fit. So he'll go. He'll lead as you mentioned. He'll give a sight, but that win 2 back was probably a bit of an outlier.
It was a good ride.
When you look at his form, this preparation, it's been ordinary since he really hit the ground running in Australia. I think he won his first 3 starts, but. No, I couldn't have him on what he's shown this prep outside of the Bart Cummings, where he was big odds that day too.
Yep.
Yeah, he's probably going better last year, wasn't he, when he won the Bart Cummings and the Metrop?
He won the Metrop, and then they threw him into the deep end in the Caulfield Stakes and just ruined him.
Yeah, well, they did go quickly the other day, not super fast, but they went fast enough, and he had to sort of tire. But again, he did run last, and he was beaten over 10 lengths. Yeah. So, even if you take into account that fast tempo he set, maybe you're looking at 3 or 4 lengths closer. So it's
going to be hard for him. He knows how to lead a Cup on a leader.
We did that how many years ago? 4 years ago.
4 years.
2020.
Big Tiger
Twilight Payment.
Yeah.
Number 8, land legend Zach Purton, Chris Waller, currently $13, draws barrier 18. So if you're following history, he can't win. He's drawn barrier 18. This horse's form ever since he landed in Australia has been phenomenal. He's had 5 starts. He won a St. Ledger. He won a Metrop, 3rd in a Caulfield Cup, and he was 6th in the Kingston Town, which has proven to be one of the hottest form races this spring. And first up, he was behind Chow Wolf. Going really well. He just needs to settle.
Yeah, Purton getting down to 53 is a fair indicator too that he rates this horse pretty highly. He doesn't ride at that weight too often, so he obviously has a high opinion of him, and he was 3rd in the Caulfield Cup. It's a bit of a worry that he did race keenly that day over 2,400. Waller is one to sort of iron out the kinks since then. But I just think Buckaroo put an absolute space on him in the Caulfield Cup, so he's got a fair bit of work to do to turn that form around. So he's a chance, but not top 3 for me either.
I think the drier track will help.
Yep.
That's one thing, and that's the key, settle. 18, the wide gate, so... Again, if he's over-racing a little, he's going to have to push forward somewhere and try and... So, it would have been ideal for him to draw 5 or 6 and just lob one off and just hopefully they're going along well enough so he doesn't have to pull. So going back's probably not going to be ideal if he does tend to get his head up and throw his head around a bit, but maybe the gear change could help.
Yeah, with the earmuffs on. And you're legging Zach Purton on. Is that a ride on him now? So hopefully they can iron that out.
He desperately want to win it. He spoke about it many times. He'd love to win it. And how many years would Zach have left?
Not many, when you think about it. Especially getting down.
They keep riding,
but when he gets down to like 53 though as well. Yeah. So who knows? Yeah. He has made a lot of money. Number 9 is Absurd. Jockey that knows how to win it, Karen McAvoy. Barrier 7. Great draw for him. He was the best of the Willie Mullins horses last year. Then he went hurdling. He didn't finish in one of them. And then he was okay at Leopardstown. Then he won a hurdle race. And then he was horrendous in the Irish St. Ledger Trial. But then he won at Chester. He's improving. He's only had 21 starts. So I can't really knock him. And as I said, he was the best Willie Mullins horse last year. 10 starts on good decks for 4 wins in 4 seconds.
It's a bit of a funny prep because he's only actually had 2 races on the flat this year.
Since the Melbourne Cup.
And as you mentioned, he was beaten 31 lengths in one of them, and the other one he won well. And he
really blew the cobwebs out.
He put 4 lengths on the 3rd place getter. So if you're judging him purely on his Chester Stakes run, then he has to be a chance. And he ran well for 7th in this race last year. It's just he did seem to have every possible chance in the Cup last year. He loomed. I think he almost hit the lead at the top of the straight, and he just didn't quite see out the trip. So that's a query, but he does get Karen McAvoy, who has an incredible record in this race. He's in the mix.
Well, last year's Cup, they went super fast, right?
Yeah, so might have just gassed him a little bit.
Without a fight, 18th or back around that in the run. 18th, you got Solcombe, come from behind without a fight, who finished 2nd. Shiraz, 17th.
Yeah.
4th place, Ash Run, 15th. Daquin Sweet Jr., 14th. Interpretation, 19th. Absurd. Next spec, he was 8th.
And he was the
so he's a lot closer.
Yeah.
So, different race this year. I think he has to be top 5.
Yeah.
Well, and trained by the Willie Mullins.
Yeah, and he also won the E-Ball last year as well, so we know his flat form is more than good enough. Number 10 is Athabaskan for Zach Lloyd.
And Kerry McAvoy too, going for the record.
4?
Equal the record, yeah. Bobby Lewis and Harry White.
And as we know, Karen if Karen is one of the best staying riders in the world, that doesn't really give you much info when he's won 3 of the Cups. Athabaskan, Zach Lloyd, John O'Shea, Tommy Charlton. Draws barrier 2. He's going to run the trip. He was well beaten by Zardozi and Land Legend in the Metrop, but then he was strong through the line in the St. Ledger. He drops 5.5 kilos. I think he's a definite prize money chance, but he can't win.
Yeah, I don't know how much prize money.
12.
Yeah, okay. Group 3 win last time. This is significantly harder. Circle of Fire beat him comfortably in the Sydney Cup, and Land Legend thrashed him in the Metrop. So if you're lining form up through those two, I can't see him winning. But he's had a good grounding for this, 1,600, 2,000, 2,400. 2,600 his last 4 starts, so it's a bit of a Bart Cummings style prep.
Does get a 5 kilo swing on Circle of Fire.
Yeah, he had a good autumn, didn't he? He ran super in those, a lot better.
He just runs well.
Absolutely. And they'll give him a good side. The owners will get it because barrier 2, he's just going to be right. He'll be near the speed.
Yeah.
He has to. You don't waste that gate.
And your jockey's in hot form as well at the moment. Zach Lloyd giving him absolute peaches at the moment. So
absolutely.
He'll run well and he's
apprentice.
$47. We go to Knight's Choice, who's 100 to 1. Feels like it's missing a 0. They should have sold him to Hong Kong 18 months ago for $2.3 million. He was good at Bendigo, but I don't think he can beat Sea King at the weights.
No, probably not. And that was easily his best run for a long time in the Bendigo Cup there. Laxon has obviously won the Melbourne Cup before, and she's always said that this horse struck her as a Cups style of horse. We just haven't really seen that on the track. I mean, he was beaten 16.5 lengths in the Caulfield Cup, so it would be a miracle if he got up here.
Yeah, the firmer track suits him, but whether he's got the class is the big key there.
Yeah, he does drop 6 kilos off the run at Bendigo.
Maybe Robbie will sing to him all the way around.
I struggle to see an extreme choice gelding out of a more than ready mare running a strong 3,200 for your breeding buffs out there.
Good story.
Speaking of breeding buffs, number 12 is Akita Sushi by Galileo out of Amicus. Probably the best bred horse in the race outside of Zardozi. Has been really well backed all the way through, into $20 now for Jamie Carr, Kieran Ma. Strong winner of the Moonee Valley Cup last start, was good in the Herbert Power. Looks like he's set to peak here. He ran in the Melbourne Cup last year, beaten 8.5. He was another one. He was 21st at the 800 and 15th at the 1400. Ran on to pick up some prize money. He just has to run well.
Yeah, I've come around to him. There's just a bit of a sense of timing with him this preparation. Mars had him for a year now. He was obviously pretty good in last year's Melbourne Cup when he wasn't in great form, coming from a long way back. He's actually been settling a lot closer this prep. Barrier 10, Jamie Carr, 51 kilos. He should be in the first 10 in running. And, I liked that Moonee Valley Gold Cup run, 2,500. He won't have any issues with the extra distance. It's just whether you think he has improved. I mean, he was beaten 8.4 lengths in last year's Cup. Has he improved enough to give this a shake? I think he probably has.
How do you rate the horses that have had one prep in Australia? They come out here, one prep, like this one did last year, and had a couple of runs. And when the trainers had enough time to get used to the horse and it's just a more seasoned galloper now, racing well.
Well, I think Without a Fight was thrashed in his first Melbourne Cup from memory. He's beaten a fair way.
You had Fiorente run, second in the first one, then come out and won it next year. And
he'll be... like last year, like you said. I mean, I know it was an advantage to get back and run, but that was his second start for the Mars stable.
Buckaroo is the same. He came out here this time last year, and now look at him now that he's had it 12 months in
Australia. Well, Joseph O'Brien had last year, didn't he?
Yeah. He was with Joe, and then they left him here. He was sold on Digi for $160,000. So decent pickup when he's already won about $500,000. So well purchased by the owners there. Number 13, One Smooth Operator for Brian Ellison. Craig Williams, barrier 12. He absolutely stomped up in the Geelong Cup, smashed Interpretation, came out of the E-Bore at York, where didn't have the best of luck and hit the line well there, as we've seen the form out of that's well. This is weird because he's had 26 starts on the synthetic, and this is his 38th start, so it'll be his 12th start on the turf. Where's the improvement for a 7-year-old who came out here and beat an average field in the Geelong Cup?
Yeah, that's my query, that he was
$15.
He's had 38 starts, and was that Geelong Cup win sort of one out of the box, first up in Australia, or can he reproduce that? The Geelong Cup form's probably a little bit questionable this year. I know it was a really impressive win, but I don't know if it boasts the same depth as the ones at Media Puzzle, Americane and Dunedin all won. But he has to be respected. Willow riding with 51 kilos, so yeah, he'll get his chance. One of only 5 last start winners in the race.
Craig generally likes to go forward. I mean, he won a Melbourne Cup by doing that off a wide gate with Vow and Declare. He won the Everest by going forward, chancing his arm. He realised when he rode the Vega Magic, he went back on it from a wide gate. Now, if he goes forward, and it depends on. So sometimes you've got to say, well, you know what? Now, my only chance of winning this is being in a position.
9 times out of 10, he doesn't die wandering in big races.
Yeah, correct. But I don't think he'll want to get too far back here. So from 12, he'll probably just try and slot in midfield somewhere. If he's in striking distance, you've got to like his Geelong. Even though you'd say Geelong Cup is at the right sort of form. I know we had 2 winners back in 2010, 12 years ago, Americane and Dunedin. But with interpretations finished second out of that race, and it ran super last year. So I think he's got to be one you respect, of course. I mean, the way he won it.
He could be like a Prince of Aaron type that doesn't do a whole lot overseas and gets to Australia and just explodes.
Well, that's it. That's what the conversation I was having last night was someone just saying, well, he's got here. Maybe he's just thrived with the travel, getting out here into a different environment. So, look, he's currently $8. He's going to start one of the favourites. A lot of people will be jumping on the Craig Williams bandwagon as well.
Did he drift out after that slight?
He got out to $10. Now he's into 8 now that he's drawn such a good gate. So
the trainer said that he's missed no work, and that's important, obviously.
Yeah, no, I rang my dad about it last night, obviously. Trainer, and was like, what does this do? He's like, nothing. He's like, if he's missed work, okay, it's an issue. But
he pulled a shoe, basically.
Yeah, he's ripped off a shoe, and it's basically just like he's had a little shaving nick. Yeah. So no real issue there. Number 14, Zardozi for James Cummings. Andrea Atenzi comes out, barrier 4. Now, we saw it yesterday, smashing the line in the Empire Rose, and I reckon James Cummings last week had a Mufasa moment where Bart Cummings had just come to him and said, remember who you are. You're my grandson when it comes to prepping Cups horses. Run Zardozi on this Saturday. She was awesome through the line. Like, everyone's seen it. It's the biggest flashing light run we'll see for a Melbourne Cup. She gets a perfect run from barrier 4. I think she may have been a bit flat in the Caulfield Cup after such a big exertion in the Metropolitan. I'm happy to give her another chance here.
Yeah, the Caulfield Cup run is the concern, but gee, she was good yesterday.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done much more there. And as you mentioned, the Bart Cummings philosophy of miles in the leg. She's had 6 starts this prep, 1,400 up to 2,400 with a little 1,600 metre trial the other day. It's just Oaks winners don't have a great record in this race. They haven't really measured up in recent times, but she was mixing it with Buckaroo and Via Sistina at the start of this prep. So her form is pretty good and she's drawn beautifully. She's a danger.
Yeah, I quite like the run. I mean, as in the 1,600.
Yeah.
I know it's not conventional, but there's ping in her legs. And whereas a lot of them are becoming dour because they've got to get the trip.
Yeah.
James obviously thinks that she'll run he's not worried about the trip.
Yeah.
I mean, he's thinking and he would have been buoyed by the gate once he saw barrier 4.
Well, she'll just go to sleep on the fence.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think he can put her, he can put her wherever, Andrea can put her wherever he wants. And she's probably going to be in the first, say, 6 or 7, I'd say.
And he gave her the best ride ever in the Caulfield Cup. She just didn't ping home. Maybe the soft ground as well.
Yeah, that was a good trial on, when I say try, they got back and then ran on nicely through the line. So I think, and if that was the only time it's been out of the place since at Flemington, loves Flemington. So I was going to say there was a soft track Caulfield, but it doesn't really, she does.
She's like Kingman out of a Dubai mess. She gets through it.
She handles anything. So she has to, she's one of the main chances.
Number 15, Sea King Holly Doyle comes out and takes the ride. He was uber impressive winning the Bendigo Cup. Took off at the 800 and just kept going. Absolutely blitzed them. From barrier 1, another one that just gets a perfect run on the map. And again, he was good in the Ebor and did beat home one smooth operator. I think he can win.
I don't think he can win, but look, his record's pretty good. He's won 4 of his last 7 starts. He was 67 days between runs in the Bendigo Cup too, so you'd think there's a bit of improvement to come. It's just when you look at that Bendigo Cup, I mean, Berkeley Square and Star Vega filled the placings. Is that Melbourne Cup winning opposition or form? I'm not so sure. I think others are coming out of stronger races and also better overseas races, but I can see why you could make a case for him down in the weights from that very, very soft draw.
High Emotion finished 3rd in the Cup after winning the Bendigo Cup. Look, it's barrier 1. I think he's best when he's ridden back a little bit.
Yep.
And probably settle midfield at best, past midfield in that sort of spot. Holly Doyle, one of the world's great riders, she's coming out to ride him. So that's exciting to see. It's great to see some of the best riders in the world want to target this race. And I saw her win in France actually, when she won her first Group 1 over in one of them. Anyway, one of those.
That filly, yeah.
Yeah, that filly.
No. I just remember that when she was an absolute tragedy beaten, I think it was at the Goodwood Festival. That's what I've got stuck in my mind. Number 16 is Valiant King. Froggy Newitt, Chris Waller, currently $51. I think he'll run the trip. That's just on pure gut feel. He's been beaten 14, 7, and 13 in his 3 runs this time in. He was beaten 5.5 in a Caulfield Cup last year, but off his form this time in, he can't win.
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's got a second to Vauban. That's his best performance to date, but beaten 34 lengths in 3 starts this spring. It's hard to make a good case for him.
Came here with big expectations, but this preparation hasn't lived up to it.
Number 17 is a Fancy Man for Annabelle Neesham, Rob Archibald. Ronnie Stewart picks up another ride in the Melbourne Cup. Barry at 19. What price is he currently? $61. Look, I think he'll be up on the speed, but I don't think he can win this. I don't think his form this time in has been good enough, but he'll run the trip.
Yeah, he was okay in the Caulfield Cup. He stuck to his guns. It was a pretty dogged performance there, and that's what he is. He's a pretty one-paced operator. He'll go forward, he'll whack away, and they'll be hoping for a top 10 finish, but not for me, not for exotics, I don't think. Yeah,
dry track suits, but whether it runs a distance, I'm not sure about the trip.
Interpretation, $15 currently for Teo Nugent, Kieran Maher. He was really good in the Melbourne Cup last year. He's a horse that's absolutely got the miles in the legs. 2,000, 25, 2,400 metres. Equicast first time, which is just a little bit of cushioning for his feet. He was good in the Geelong Cup. Again, he'll probably go back and he'll run on, and he's another prize money chance.
Yeah, and last start was his best run for the campaign. Yeah. That was a very nice improvement there at the right time. But in saying that, it's hard to get too carried away with a last start placing because consistency has not been his go.
It's his 3rd Melbourne Cup. He failed to finish in his first crack.
Yeah, he's really mixed it up. 17 starts in Australia for 1 win. So he's not the most reliable horse, but on his day, he does definitely have talent. He's one you probably need to keep safe. Yeah.
Well, there's only one race I've really had in mind, and that's been the Melbourne Cup all along for interpretation. Good run last year, but the speed was on. He got home. It mightn't work out similar, but if it does, well, then I'm sure he's going to run he'll get some money for him anyway.
He's got the racing gods on his side too. He'll be wearing Cole McKenna's cap, of course, a part owner in it, Cole McKenna, who passed away last week. Number 19 is Manzois. He's literally made the field due to everyone failing the vet scans. $51 currently. Declan Bates takes the ride, 50 kilos. He won a derby.
He did. He did win a derby. He's done very little since. Beaten 14 lengths in the Sydney Cup earlier this year, and he was nearly 5 lengths off just fine here 2 back. So no to Manzois for me.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah. Number 20, mostly cloudy for Bussett and Young. Karis Teetenbarry, 16. Blinkers off first time, nose roll first time. They're throwing the gear changes at this horse. He's beaten 6 lengths last start, but if you go off the prior form, he was beaten a length in the Brisbane Cup. Arguably should have gone close to winning that. He was good behind Young Verta, and then he was beaten 2 lengths by Point King in the Archer. He'll run the trip. He's a horse that can definitely pick up prize money, given 2 of his wins have been over 32 and 3,300.
Yeah, he's an out-and-out stayer, so anything beyond 2,500 is right up his alley. Beating just 1 runner home in the Bart Cummings is not a great reference for this, though, so I'm working around mostly cloudy.
I think he'll be better on a firmer track. I was really hoping he'd draw a much better barrier to put him in, because now he's got to go right back, where I'd rather him be midfield, just off midfield. I'd be happier mostly cloudy. He could run, top 8 or so, but I think it's going to be hard for him. I think he'll be back a fair way. So it's and Karis Teeton, another visiting jockey, jockey riding. But he loves Flemington. That's one thing about him.
Number 21 is Positivity. It is currently 100-1. Winona Costin takes the ride, 50 kilos. I feel like this horse hits 2,500 and can't run the trip. So 3,200 is going to be a whole new world of pain.
Yeah, very good start to this preparation. It was a promising start to the campaign, but her form certainly dipped the last 2 starts. She won the Group 3 SA Fillies Classic over 2,500 back in May.
They crawled home that day.
That wasn't a great race. Still improvement to come as a 4-year-old mare. She only got 12 starts to her name, but maybe next year for this one. Yep. I think this might have come around a bit too quick.
Yeah, she'll probably go forward, Winona, and settle in the first few. She had a tyre the other day at the Valley, and she finished alongside Interpretation 2 starts ago in the Bart Cummings. Yeah, I'm against her. I think she's might have to work a little bit too hard, and it might be just a bit tough for her up on the speed.
Number 22 is St. George. He's been well backed early days. $32 into 25 with Boom Bet. Tyler Schiller, 50 kilos for Kieran Maher. Barrier 9. Probably should have won the Heatherly or the Naturalism with a bit of luck. Then was too far back in the Bart Cummings and then hit the line well in the Moonee Valley Cup and has snuck in. I think he can run a cheeky race.
Yeah, he was doing his best work late in the Moonee Valley Gold Cup. And look, 5th up here, there shouldn't be any excuses fitness-wise. He's just another one I think might be a better proposition next year. But, you can never underestimate Kieran Maher. And he has drawn quite well, Barrier 9, for Tyler Schiller.
He had the bar plates on last start, didn't he? All four.
He's got no gear changes here, so might have been 2 back.
Yeah, but Kieran's got a bit of an opinion of this galloper. Lightly raced.
Yeah.
Only had 10 starts or so. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him run pretty well because early on I quite liked him. And then, it was okay. He ran okay through the line in the Moonee Valley Cup.
Well, he won over 2,900 in England, so the 2 miles shouldn't worry him.
Yeah.
Bar plates are still on at the moment, but we may get a late gear change. Those are on for his last start. So watch and see there. If those bar plates do come off, that'll be a big tick. Number 23 is the map. Dan Clark and Upi McGilvray. Rachel King, Barrier 23. She's on her way back from the Breeders' Cup. This horse will be under the odds. If you want to back it, make sure you bet either with fixed odds with Boom Bet early or on the tote, because I think with the story, I think a lot of punters, once-a-year punters, will be piling into this horse. So maybe take Top Fluck or best of the best that you've got there with Boom Bet. I don't think it can win, but it can pick up prize money.
It would be a great story, but unfortunately things haven't really panned out for her this campaign. We saw her win by an absolute space on this day last year in the Macca's run, and her form at Flemington over 2,800 and beyond is very good, but she just hasn't really done anything this prep to suggest she can give this a shake, and she's going to settle in a different postcode from Barrier 23. So unfortunately,
hasn't met well.
doesn't map well, the map. So I'm working around her. But
leave the dead jokes alone. But anyway.
It was a good day for Adelaide yesterday, winning the Derby, and they'll be hoping the map can maybe sneak a top 10 finish, but not for me.
Yeah, the distance is what appeals, but it's whether it's good enough.
Yeah.
Number 24 on the final horse is Trust in You for Mark Duplessis, Bruce Wallace and Grant Cooksley, currently $91. Was beaten 3.5 in the Auckland Cup, which is a 3,200 metre race at Ellerslie at the start of the year. Form this time in has been building towards something, is a potential prize money chance, but can't win.
Yeah, I don't think it has the class well held by Buckaroo in the Caulfield Cup and beaten 3.5 lengths in the Metrop by Land Legend, so not for me.
Is it a soft tracker? I think it might like the weather.
Swainus.
Yeah, it's won 3 of its wins have been on soft or heavy, 1 win on good tracks.
Yeah. All right, that is all 24 horses done and dusted. Let's get our top 4s. Lamby, lead us off.
Going with Buckaroo, don't love the barrier, but love the Caulfield Cup run. Love his form, all preparation, to be honest, and I'm hoping a bit of Waller magic will see him run the 2 miles. And Moreira, now would be a good time to pull out an A-grade ride on Tuesday. I've got him on top. Akita Sushi, I think, is the value. I've got it for second. Definitely worth a play at around $20 as we record this. One Smooth Operator in for third, and I've got Vauban in for fourth. I just don't know what to do with him. He could win or he could finish down the track again like he did last year.
Guesty?
Yeah, I'm with Vauban, the top pick. I went for him last year, and I'm hoping he can do the trick this year. Now, there's favourites that have been favourite 1 year. 39 have come back and run in the next cup. Only 3 have won. Farlap, 1930. You've got Dark Felt in 1943. And the great, not that Farlap wasn't great, but Makybe Diva. So there's only 3 horses that 39 horses have started favourite the year before. So you've got that hit around that. But stats, they're where to be broken.
Yeah, history's there to be broken.
Records are there to be broken. Yeah, that's right. But I think he can do it. I think Willie would have learned a lot from last year. Buckaroo, that form's just the right form. So I'm going with the Chris Waller trained horse for second. Interpretation, number 18. He should hit the line strongly. 14, Zardozi, get that cozy run. And Absurd would be one I think you've got to throw into your multiples.
What does the old thing say? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm tipping Vauban again. I got him on top. I just think he's come in better form this year, whereas he's running the really good races all the way through, which they've avoided winning to avoid getting the Weight penalty this year goes up half a kilo. He looks to have settled in well. By all reports, everything's going well there. In for second is Zardozi. I think she just gets a sweet run, and I just can't get Yesterday out of my mind. I've always been a big fan of her. In for third, I've got Akita Sushi. He's also got to overcome the Herald Sun front page of the paper curse. He was on the front page in the Sunday Herald Sun, so prayers up there for the Dean Lester curse. And number 15, Seeking in for fourth. I thought his win last week at Bendigo was phenomenal, and I think he's the one out of these international horses that'll improve more because he is a young horse. Now, before we quickly get to the guru, James Molony, for his tips for Randwick, make sure you check out our Racenet form indicators for the Melbourne Cup. They've got all the stats, facts, and figures that you need to find the winner of the Melbourne Cup. If you don't trust what the three of us have said, all right, we'll get to the guru, James Molony. He's got some tips for us at Randwick.
Hi, James Molony here. Looking ahead to this Tuesday's meeting at Randwick featuring the $3 million Big Dance to be run over 1,600 metres. And although the early market race favourite Here to Shock looks to have all favours, likely going forward from barrier 1, as he did when winning the listed Alan Brown quality over 1,400 metres at Rosehill last start, I'm siding with one at a little bit of value in Super Razi. He was impressive 2 starts back at Caulfield in listed company over 1,400 metres when getting too far back early before clocking the second fastest last 200 and 400 metre splits in the race when chasing home Jimmy's a Star. He then went to Moonee Valley contesting the 1,600 metre Crystal Mile and again got too far back that day, was forced wide late before chasing home Plenty of Ammo and looked to have more to offer through the line. Plenty of Ammo was well supported in the Empire Rose on Saturday, the Group 1 Empire Rose, so I think that might be strong form. I'm scared of Gringotts. I think he's got a big run in him. He just doesn't know how not to finish second. And also Tabby Time as well. Also looks hard to beat. But I'm siding with one at value in Super Razi. He drops 3 kilos from his last start. So good luck on Tuesday, punters.
Thanks to the guru for that. All right, my best bet at Randwick comes up in the Big Dance. Race 5, number 12, Tabby Time. Was fantastic winning at Warwick Farm last start at the mile. Last preparation, they tried to go through the provincial championships over 1,400. He's been qualified for this race since December last year when he won, I think it was the Moray Cup by about 500 metres, kicked their heads in. So he's been set for this race for 12 months. His performances this time have been fantastic. Gets a great run on the map, and I'm really keen to back him here with some dangers drawn out in the car park. Lammy, give us your Cup Day set.
Yeah, it's always a tricky day, Cup Day, big fields across the board, but there's one in race 2 I like, which is coming up against J-Mac, actually. I'm tipping against him. I'm going with Plymouth for Blake Shin, race 2, the Tab Trophy. Just had absolutely no chance last start. The way the race was won, the first 4 out were the first 4 home. They just did not change positions the whole time. Go back to his win at Bendigo 2 back. He was really impressive there and looks to be a much more genuine tempo in this, and I think he'll be really strong through the line. So Plymouth for me is the best in race 2.
Next best?
Next best, going down the bottom, Chewing Gum for the Mar Camp. I think he's a really good each way play. I've just got to find the race here.
Race 8.
Race 8, thank you, Alex. Good last time at big odds. Probably exceeded expectations there, but the form out of that race can be trusted. And I just think it gets the perfect run from barrier 5, Ethan Brown riding, and we're getting around the $11 for Chewing Gum. And
this year, we pray that your value bet has more luck than the Busselton horse from last year.
Yeah, I'm still getting over that, Foxy Cleopatra. Thanks for bringing that up.
Really digging it in,
That's okay. Hopefully, the best value goes around in the last on Tuesday. Snow Patrol. It's a pretty talented horse here. Resumes off a 1,000-metre jump out win at Cranbourne, where it sat outside Warney throughout and beat him. Warney's favourite in this at around $3.70. Snow Patrol, much longer odds at $15. Both horses weren't exactly trying that hard in the jump out, but it was a nice piece of work. He's won 2 from 3 when first up, including a Group 2 win over none other than Southport Tycoon. Ooh. So nice form for Snow Patrol. I think he's over the odds.
Guesty, you got a best bet for us?
Just quickly, do you remember your sick beats more so than your wins?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I think we all do, don't we?
Yeah.
I remember sitting
There's
in
a lot more of them than
sitting
wins,
in the pub last year with our video producer Homie. I've had $5 on Foxy Cleopatras. I've had a strip out, and just my day just somehow got worse. Back in a 50 chance.
Yeah, it's. I still remember a jockey from 15 years ago that cost me a hell of an all up. It was a place. I only had to run a place. Ran 5th.
4th.
In the last 5-leg multi.
Yeah.
To win a fair round money off a small outlay. It was
I'm still getting over a horse and my dad's getting beaten in a highway 5 years ago.
Yeah. It happens.
Longbow.
I think I've got 2 best on the program. I think Reinberg in the final event for James McDonald. It's drawn barrier 1. It's very good fresh, and it has jumped out really well. So I'm very happy on the that galloper there. Yep. And the weights are sort of, I mean, there's only a couple down the bottom, but then they're not far away from each other. Yeah. Miss Aria, I know it's been up for a little while. It's drawn well. It's holding its form. So with Blake Shin on board, get a nice run. I'm happy to go with Miss Aria in the Hong Kong Jockey Club Stakes. And I'm with you, Chewing Gum. We'll stick together with this one. Race 8 number. So I've gone race 8 number 8. I've gone race 9 number 9. And race 9 number 3. But Chewing Gum, I think it's good. It's each way, isn't it? It's about
we're getting 10
and they scratched it from Derby Day.
Yep.
So they probably saw that this race was probably a lot better, easier race to win. Yeah. Well, they're never easy Cup Day, are they? Or any day.
Good luck. All right, that is the Melbourne Cup preview done and dusted. Now, make sure you check out all of our social media content that we've got going up at the moment. Caitlin Mallion's top 4 is about to drop as well. She'll be coming in to do that very soon. So by the time you're watching this, it'll be up all across our social medias. Now, check out everything else at punters.com.au. The boys are doing a mountain of work at the moment. Now, this week, we have hold all tickets on Wednesday for Oaks Day. That'll be myself and Caitlin Mallion again. She absolutely tipped up a storm last year. I think she tipped 3 or 4 winners last year and absolutely declared Zardozi in the Oaks. Then on Thursday, we will have the normal hold all tickets for Champions Day with myself, Lamby and Pegs. Big Trumpeters Day yesterday, and there'll be a few.
It was a bit around yesterday.
There'll be a few coming up. And then, of course, everything else that we've got going on. And, of course, thanks for joining us once again on Hold All Tickets. Great odds, more value, and more boom moments. Sign up today and get in on the boom with our friends at BoomBet. Guesty, thank you, mate.
It's been a pleasure, as always.
Lammy.
Thank you.
Good luck this week,
I was going to say good luck, but you're both on Voban, so...
Yeah. Mate, I hope for your fingers and hands with all the copy you've got to write this week.
Yeah, there's a few previews.
Yeah. Guesty, good luck on the bicep curls, okay? The champagne. Thank you for joining us once again on Hold All Tickets. We will catch you later in the week with our friends at BoomBet.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.